highly regulated weapons. Tonight, WRAL investigates a legal way for people to own the weapons without going through the mandatory ATF screening. Short barrel rifles and suppressors known as silencers. These are weapons covered under the National Firearms Act.
To buy them, the process is much more thorough than purchasing most other guns. Sheriffs are part of that process, although some are reluctant to grant approval. There's a legal way to avoid those checks and balances, and WRAL's Cullen Browder is here with a growing trend in the gun community. Cullen?
Well, David and Deborah, it's called a gun trust. And quite frankly, there's even confusion among gun owners about how it all works. The trust is almost like a will for firearms to pass on between generations. It requires just one person to go through the rigorous application process. Anyone else in that trust can avoid that scrutiny. Matt Reeves likes to shoot and likes his Second Amendment rights. Why do you want this kind of weapon and a suppressor?
I've always wanted to own one of these, mostly for collector value.
It's a modified PS-90 short barrel rifle. Because the barrel is less than 16 inches, it's more strictly regulated under the National Firearms Act. He bought the gun and the suppressor in Harnett County because the sheriff there signed off on it. Well, now he lives in Wake County.
So any future applications I have, as of right now, will have to be through a gun trust because Donnie Harrison will not sign off on my NFA applications.
A gun trust is a legal avenue gaining popularity for those who want short barrel rifles and suppressors, but can't get a local sheriff's authorization. A quick internet search shows local lawyers advertising for trusts so gun owners can bypass the local sheriff. What do you say to some people who look at this and say, this is a loophole in the law?
What I would say is, I don't call the trust a legal loophole. I would call it a legal protection of the individuals who want to legally own these firearms.
Fayetteville attorney Drew Dempster specializes in gun trusts. Simply put, the trust is a legal arrangement that allows guns to be passed down to beneficiaries without court dispute. At the same time, anyone designated by the trust can possess NFA-regulated firearms. The head of the trust must pass a criminal background check, submit extensive paperwork, and $200 to alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and wait about 6 months for a decision. Approval opens the door for anyone else named in the trust to own the guns without the same scrutiny.
I had concerns about it, and I'm not going to lie to you, I still have a little bit of concern.
Wake County Sheriff Donnie Harrison, a staunch Second Amendment supporter, leans on his legal team to advise him about trusts. Still, he's not entirely sold.
The trust itself is not in an individual's name, it's in the trust. And I guess that's where a lot of people, including myself, sometimes wonder if we're doing the job.
Dempster argues he writes trusts where all designees clear criminal background checks, because ultimately the head of the trust remains liable.
At the end of the day, we are just as concerned about individuals who shouldn't have guns having guns, because that makes our community not live very well.
We've seen at least a 100 to 150% uptick in suppressor and short barrel sales.
Clay Osley owns Fuquay Gun and Gold.
Get some cool factor.
He says trusts and ease state restrictions on firearms help his sales.
There was a lot of people that did not even understand that they could own this type weaponry.
Still, he questions why the law classifies short barrel rifles and suppressors differently. Military-style semi-automatic guns with the same ammunition don't require the same federal scrutiny.
You can legally, if you've got a clean background and can pass the background check, you can purchase AR-15 pistol, and you can purchase a full-size AR-15, but you cannot purchase this without jumping through a whole bunch of hoops with the ATF and getting in Wake County and getting a gun trust set up.
Does that make sense to you?
0 cents. That makes absolutely no sense at all.
Wake County Sheriff Donnie Harrison still has reservations about trusts because they bypass his judgment on gun buyers.
I think at some point in time it's going to be tested. I don't know who's going to test it.
For gun enthusiasts like Reeves and Osley, it's a test of their rights. Now, there's been talk for about 2 years now about changing how gun trusts work. One proposal would make background checks mandatory for everyone named in the trust. The ATF could make an announcement about what changes, if anything, it will make as soon as next month. David.
In the meantime, still some confusion there.
Absolutely.
Cullen Browder, thank you.
Boy, a very